This is the QuietKat Apex Pro, and as the name implies, it's a top-of-the-line all-terrain model from the brand that is best known for its hunting and overlanding e-bikes. Is this beast ready to be king of the jungle? Let's find out in this review. Hey everybody, and welcome back to EBR. Or if this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay in the loop on the latest e-bikes, and don't forget the notification bell. What we have here today is a bona fide workhorse of a bike. QuietKat has long been a friend to the outdoor crowd, and the Apex Pro offers serious appeal for anybody with all-terrain needs for either hunting, camping, or just exploring the backwoods on something more robust than your typical mountain bike. So what makes the Apex Pro noteworthy? Well, like any e-bike, it all starts with the motor. QuietKat has equipped the Apex Pro with a 1000-watt Bafeng mid-drive motor. It runs off of what QuietKat calls VPO technology. It's essentially a system control for changing between class 1, 2, 3, or even unrestricted settings. Now the ease of use there is nice, but the ease of riding is even nicer. Packing 160 Newton meters of torque means you'll conquer any steep, as you'll see soon in our testing. It's a true powerhouse of a motor, making for easy climbing on even steep and loose terrain, and if you have a stretch of flat road, you can blaze pretty fast with unrestricted speeds upwards of 30 miles per hour. Next up is the Apex Pro's inverted KKE suspension fork with 140 millimeters of travel. The inverted forks with thick stanchions like this are often spec'd for providing a stiffer ride that splits the difference between comfort and performance, and it is a friend to giant tires. Speaking of which, the Apex Pro has these Kenda Juggernaut 26 by 4.5 inch wide tires. These are heavy duty with a thicker design that is meant to last a while. There's enough tread here to grab into loose terrain pretty easily, and the extra width allows for great stability while you're plowing over rocks and roots. When you combine these three elements, you get a highly capable machine that really is equipped to go just about anywhere, which is why it's known as being friendly to hunters pursuing their game, overlanders looking to venture far off the beaten path, or fans of really big e-bikes who just enjoy the larger ride. But let's take a look at the rest of what you get on the Apex Pro. Tucked away into the alloy frame is an 828 watt-hour battery, which can be removed for charging. The Apex Pro comes in 3 sizes with 3 different color options to choose from, such as the gunmetal of our bike here, but there are 2 different camo prints you can choose from as well, with earth and timber ones. The drivetrain is a nice SRAM X5. It has a 39 tooth chainring with an 11 to 34 tooth range on the rear cassette. The whole unit has held up well across our off-road riding. We already covered the tires, but you also get these brakes here, which are a nice setup. It's the Tektro Dorado 4-piston hydraulics on 203 millimeter rotors. Now up in the cockpit, you'll see a huge 780 millimeter handlebar. I love the wide base and how that helps you over technical sections of terrain. There is nice grip from the rubber handles on either end, and then you have your thumb throttle on the left next to the control panel, while the right side has your rapid fire trigger shifters. Now, I'm a fan of QuietKat's large color display. It has a power readout, and with a couple of taps of the info button, you can hop into the settings to toggle the VPO system for class 1, 2, and 3 riding. The only small gripe I have is switching to class 3 actually does take the throttle away, which I personally like to have both a 20 mile per hour throttle and 28 mile per hour pedal assist at the same time while riding. Last but not least, there is the integrated rack that has a carrying capacity up to 100 pounds. So now that we know what the Apex Pro comes with, let's find out how it rides. Off-road riding needs to have solid brakes, as you never know what you'll encounter on the paths that you're exploring. To test the brakes on the Apex Pro, I got the bike up to 20 miles per hour, hit the brakes, then measured the distance it took to stop. After 3 passes, the Apex got to an average of 22 feet 11 inches. As of this recording, that's beating out all other all-terrain e-bikes I've tested by over a foot. The Tektro Dorado system is a nicer EMTB brake, and I love the extra heat dissipation of the larger 203 millimeter rotors. Big heavy e-bikes deserve big brakes in my opinion. The brakes do a good job giving you solid control as they aren't too grabby, but they help you in situational control, either to mitigate your speed or to manage your descents. Bottom line, the brake test gets an A on the Apex Pro. All right, so let's head out on a ride so we can show you the speed profile of the Apex Pro. All right, so this is gonna be our Class 2 speed test on the QuietKat Apex Pro. So the bike is designed, from what I can tell, to always have the motor on. There is no PAS0 function, but I did find out that if I'm pedaling it and then turn the motor on, it does not actually engage the motor yet. So it just helps set the baseline. Going about 7 miles per hour just in second gear. I mean, it is an 85-pound bike with very wide tires. It's not a lot of fun to pedal without a motor. So as we peak at 7.2 miles per hour, I'll kind of delay the pedaling again, and then when I pedal, motor kicks on. So as you can see, I mean, it gets going pretty well. It's now how QuietKat's VPO technology, I mean, it's designed to respect class speed limits. So here in Class 2, it's only going to give me 750 watts of nominal power, but as you can see, I haven't even changed gearing, and I mean, this thing is boosted me forward up to 17, 18 miles per hour. And this is, so in terms of its torque sensor, I mean, it almost functions more as a cadence sensor. You can toggle that in the settings from what I can tell, but I have the settings set to on. So as it hits 19 miles per hour, we'll bump up from eco to trail mode. And then it's just kind of more of the same at this setting, going about 19 miles per hour. Up to 19.3. And then we'll go ahead and put it into boost. And then still going about 19.5. It's going to climb upwards of 20. Pushing out about 500 watts to help me sustain that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a bike that wants to go fast for sure. It doesn't require a whole lot of torque input from you to actually get going there, but we'll go ahead and rerun that again in Class 3 settings and see what the speed curve looks like. All right, we're back at it in eco mode again, but this time on Class 3 settings, so we can be topping out here at 28 miles per hour. So again, I'm doing just the lightest amount of pedaling possible, but it's still, I mean, it's a bike that really wants to get up and get going. So even though I think I'm still in 4th gear right now, once again pushing upwards into 18 miles per hour. Virtually no input from me. Let's go ahead and do, as we hit 18.6 miles per hour, we'll move into trail mode. And I'm going to change the gearing a little bit just so my feet can kind of keep up and apply a little bit of light pressure. You can see that pushes it up into above 22 miles per hour. Let's see what gets us to about 24 miles per hour. Into boost mode now. This shouldn't take long at all. It's going to get us right up into 24 miles per hour. This is maybe the first time that my amount of torque seems to matter. Keep cycling through the gears here. So now I'm at the point where I do have to move my feet faster. I do got to apply a little bit more torque on the pedals for myself, a little bit more force, but I'm still, I mean, it's still the motor doing the work here. I'm just giving it the tiniest of pushes. Slow down a little bit in this bend. We'll see if we can top out at 28 as we get out on the other side. And I mean, I'm getting about 26 miles per hour. I don't know if you can see the power meter on here or not, but I mean, it's been holding 750 this whole time. Give it rest at about 26 miles per hour is the top, but 26.5. I mean, overall, it's definitely a fast motor. Didn't quite hit the 28, but I get my feet really moving more at like the 23, 24 mile per hour mark when I was finally kind of able to tell that my torque made a difference. But let's talk a little bit more about that back in the studio. So this was a pretty interesting test to see from the Apex. In terms of its speed, it's a bike that will charge hard if you're moving those pedals. So to recap those results of the Class 2 test, I did only 7.2 miles per hour without any motor help. Eco steadily builds all the way up to 19 miles per hour. Trail mode then goes a smidge faster up to 19.4, and then the motor helps you hit and hold the 20 mile per hour limit in boost. Now, switching things over to the Class 3 settings, those numbers changed to 18.6 miles per hour in eco mode, 24.1 miles per hour in trail, and then wrapping things up in 26.6 miles per hour in our final boost mode. So I have a few different thoughts here on the speed test. First, the speed profile could use some work in either setting. It's rare to see a mid-drive motor with only a cadence sensor, so the bike just keeps accelerating without a lot of rider effort. At least on the paved paths, while I feel it does do a little bit better in off-road situations. The distribution of the Class 3 results has better spacing, but I still wouldn't have minded a slower eco setting for battery conservation, and more speed isn't always needed when riding over bumpy surfaces off-road. So while I'd welcome some tweaks, there is a silver lining here. The acceleration feels entirely manageable, so it's not necessarily that difficult to control your speed if you just, well, you know, stop pedaling when you feel you've got the speed you need. And while the speed clusters a bit at the top, there is what it feels to me an appreciable difference in the power you get at hill climbs across the different modes. So it still makes them distinct if you think of it in terms of climbing first and speed second. And that is crucial for something meant to roam the wilds. So whether you're hunting or just having a good time on the Apex Pro, you'll need to know your battery limits to know how far to venture out into the backwoods. Our team did 2 different range tests, one in eco mode and one in boost, to see the upper and lower limits in terms of mileage you could get. And for this test, we did both of those on the more conservative Class 2 setting. So in our max power, or the boost test, we were able to go 25.26 miles before needing a charge. Now in the eco test, or the minimum power, we upped that slightly to 32.34 miles. I would give this a great score on the max power side with room for improvement on the low power side. Now, as a maximum 1000 watt motor with 828 watt hour battery, that falls short of our preferred 1-to-1 ratio of watt hours to motor watts that we always hope to see. But the high power setting was surprisingly efficient given both the bike's weight and its massive tires. Now from our math, we were expecting about 50 minutes of ride time in the saddle on our boost test, but we went for nearly an hour and a half, so that was pretty nice. The eco side, only getting another 7 miles, was shorter than what we had hoped to see. Now for context, similar 1000 watt mid-drive all-terrain e-bikes that we have tested have on average had 19 more miles from their eco modes as compared to their max power modes. Some of what you're seeing is a byproduct of what we saw on the speed test. The motor just keeps ramping up speed, so power consumption is higher than many other e-bikes in their eco settings. Still, 25 miles minimum is pretty great, and if you're worried that doesn't cut it, QuietKat does sell spare batteries that you can purchase to effectively double your range by making a quick pit stop. For our next test, I'm gonna pass you off to our dedicated hill tester, Justin, who took the Apex Pro up our hellhole test hill to see how quickly it could climb its 1/3 of a mile, 12% grade.
Alrighty, on the QuietKat Apex Pro, it's mid-drive with a throttle, so we are doing a throttle test. I've got it in a lower gear to try to give it, if I'm in too high of a gear, it just kind of grinds it up and doesn't make it up, but I think I've got the right gear here. As I've gone through this first hill, just down to about 10 miles per hour, so that's pretty decent performance for mid-drive on a throttle. And as far as the noise of the motor, as I'm listening, it's pretty quiet. I'm listening to it there, so, you know, as I get into a higher cadence here, you'll hear it a little bit more. In this last section, I'll let you listen to it as I hit this last kind of punchy climb. Let's see how powerful it is through here. So down to 8 miles per hour. You notice as you go slower, the motor gets a little less loud. I think the time's going to be fairly decent. Definitely can climb up a hill here. Got to set this as a Class 2. Again, in kind of a higher gear on the throttle, and as we make it to the top, we'll kind of see how the results check out. Okay, we're back on the QuietKat Apex Pro, now doing the pedal test, and I'm kind of expecting pretty good results here. The bike feels powerful. Shifted down right there. You notice there was a slight kind of delay after I shifted down. That a lot of mid-drive motors lately we've been testing have done that. This bounced back really quickly, so I think that's totally fine. You know, I went in about 13, 14 miles per hour through that steep section, got down to 11, 12. So we'll see how it does through this section here. I'll let you listen to the motor. Down to 11. You know, I'm not pushing very hard here. I'm kind of letting the motor do a lot of the work, if not most. Not all, but most of the work. And definitely feels powerful, which is kind of what you need for this thing. It's almost one of those big tires, nice big bike. For all terrain, you're gonna need that power. So yeah, let's go to the tape and see how it did.
The Apex Pro had a stellar day at the hill. In the throttle-only test, Justin finished with a time of 1 minute and 31 seconds for an 11.9 mile per hour average. Throwing in the help of his legs, he improved that to 1 minute and 21 seconds with a final 13.4 mile per hour result. Now, those come in at the 6th and 4th best mid-drive results to date over the dozens and dozens of mid-drives that we have tested on Hellhole. QuietKat has had a few bikes sitting atop the hill test results over the years, so it wasn't very surprising to see that result. But I do feel like this may have been one of the better hill climbers the brand has produced to date. As I mentioned before, in some of my own hill testing, I did feel there was distinction in the amount of help I was getting on hills across the various modes, and having that level of control is always welcome when I'm trying to get my way to the top of either something more packed down or maybe even some loose dirt. Sometimes the larger wattage mid-drives can push too hard and give us some worries about how they might wear on the chain and the cassette over time, but I think the Apex Pro delivers the right amount of push when you need it, with all the resolve to help you keep going, which is what makes for a great hill climbing experience. Let's leave the studio one more time to show you what the Apex Pro is fully capable of as we discuss its ride quality. All right, so I'm out here with the Apex Pro in its natural environment, you know, off-roading here. And I gotta say, I think overall QuietKat's done a pretty good job of giving you a ride that's both powerful, but really easy to control. And it's gonna make for a great all-terrain e-bike for, you know, if that's what you're looking for. So let's start with some of the basics. So as an all-terrain e-bike, I mean, I'm at a moderate forward lean. QuietKat offers the Apex Pro in 3 different frame sizes, small, medium, and large. This one that I'm on is a medium, and it might be the first medium e-bike I've reviewed in history that actually feels good and comfortable for me. I mean, I think they size things on the large side for this particular frame. I think they say it fits between riders 5'6" up to 6 feet even. I'm 6'1". I feel like it's got good sizing, maybe even like slightly large in all honesty, but I actually kind of like things on the larger side. So just remember that as you're shopping accordingly for your frame. Now in terms of its comfort, I mean, I think it's doing a lot of things right. Comfort's gonna come down to just its control, and control is the word of the day when it comes to this bike. The 4.5 inch wide tire is a nice wide platform. It makes it very easy to maintain your balance and to, you know, be able to handle whatever the uneven roads like this one will kind of throw at you. And then it does have this front fork up here, the inverted moto style fork, 140 mil travel. I mean, it's doing a really good job of absorbing the bulk of the punishment of, you know, the different things I'm going across. And just keeping me, you know, feeling like fresh and relaxed. As an all-terrain e-bike, I mean, it's no mountain bike, so this one is a hardtail actually, not a full suspension. I was a little surprised by that, given that this is the Apex Pro and they have an Apex Sport. I thought the, you know, higher trim, so to speak, would have gotten the full suspension, but it does not, and that's, you know, it's neither good nor bad. Again, it's not a mountain bike, it's not required. You're gonna be riding on a lot of double track, a lot of fire roads, you know, places that are well worn, so you don't necessarily need the full suspension, and you can always get their, you know, they offer a Connect seat post that you can check out with if you're worried about it. But it's, I guess it's nice, you know, glass half full version there is, you don't have to worry about the wear and replacement of that over time. But overall, it's got pretty good handling, like I said. This 780 millimeter handlebar, I mean, it's on a non-adjustable stem. It's rigid, of course, so what you want for something off-roading. But I mean, I really like how wide it is. It just feel like you have very good control. It's not the most nimble. The front end's kind of heavy, and it's on a longer, I believe, 48-inch wheelbase. But again, just for you're riding it in the right places, it's gonna feel awesome. It's been really good as I've been taking it across, you know, the deserts out here. And then lastly, in terms of motor engagement, so this Bafang 1000 watt mid-drive motor, anytime I see 1000 watts, I never know what I'm gonna get. Sometimes they are just way punchy off the line, but I actually think like QuietKat, while you can definitely get some top end speed here and really get things going, I think if you pick your eco trail or boost mode, it does a pretty good job. Like, it's got a good casual ramp up, which is what I kind of hope for in an off-roader. I don't want something that jumps and lurches ahead with, you know, how often you find uneven or loose rocky terrain, but it's definitely got all the muscle it needs. I mean, as I click into boost mode here, I'll go ahead and go up and over this hill in front of me, and I mean, that's effortless. You know, it just goes right up and over, and then when you get to the top and the other side, that's where the wide tire and good brakes come in handy, helping me control the descent, making life on me very easy. So again, overall, I like the stability of this e-bike. I think it's going to be great for a lot of people who are getting into all-terrain e-bikes. Overall, I would say that the quality of the Apex Pro is pretty high. The tires and wide handlebar make handling the different things beneath you feel pretty easy. There is plenty of power on tap for going up and over whatever is in your way, and it's made all the smoother by solid performance from a SRAM X5 drivetrain that adjusts quickly on the fly. To add an additional thought to one of the things that I mentioned while out riding, there isn't any rear suspension here, but when you consider the intended use, it kinda tracks. On their website, QuietKat labels this as their most capable hunting e-bike. And if you're gonna be loading up that rear rack, then having something stiff is preferable over incorporating extra movement to a potentially heavy load from a pack behind you. Plus, that's also one less part you have to worry about wearing down over time. As a final note, I always like to give credit where it's due, so let's talk about QuietKat's accessories. There are several e-bikes that label themselves as hunting e-bikes, and while they can fit the bill, it's nice to be able to further outfit the ride to your needs. There are several different accessories that are compatible with the Apex Pro, ranging from game trailers to grips that can hold a rifle or compound bow up on the handlebar. There are a host of quality of life upgrades like suspension seat posts or insulated battery wraps that help you fight off cold weather effects on the battery. They are even one of the few brands that offer solar charging solutions if you plan on spending several days out in nature, but want to know you'll be able to charge back up when needed. So talk about understanding the assignment, the Apex Pro is ready to help whatever backwoods or desert activities that you are planning next. The Apex Pro is a bike I had an absolute blast with. It showed some continued improvement from past QuietKat models that I've ridden, and even with a few wrinkles I think it could further iron out, I think it's one heck of an all-terrain e-bike. You get some great components throughout, from the SRAM drivetrain to the KKE suspension fork. The motor is both powerful but not overwhelming, and I appreciate QuietKat's thoughtful class considerations with their VPO programming. More regulations are springing up across local trails, so getting easily into the right option is great to see. I think the biggest issue comes down to the too fast eco setting. That's a quick programming thing I feel that, if adjusted, would help both in the range department and also just make the overall ride a little bit more easily managed. But the bottom line, the Apex Pro is stable and tough. It's an e-bike that can be outfitted for your favorite outdoor activity, whatever it may be, and it's a befitting name for one of the most impressive QuietKat bikes that I have ridden to date. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this review helpful, and if so, hitting the like and subscribe buttons are a great way to help us out here at EBR. Further info and pricing can be found in the links down below, and if you buy a bike off of that link, it further helps us out to keep making high quality reviews. That's all for now on the QuietKat Apex Pro. I'm Griffin Hales, and I'll see you on the next review.